I went to go and watch Dear White People, and I just want to give a big shout out to Charlotte Davis, who put on the event, and Kush Daughter, who facilitated the much needed discussion after watching the film. So Dear White People is a film that I believe tries to identify the issues around the complexities and the nuances of racism as well as identity. That identity isn't fluid, it's that it is fluid, it's not fixed, and it's transient, and sometimes we're given identities or we choose our own identities. I think that's in essence what the director was trying to say. Young black guy, Justin Simien. The film has won a tremendous amount of awards, including an award at the Sundance Festival. So it's quite it's quite out there as a black independent film, and I just want to give him props for that. The film itself, I wanted to go and see it because of the controversy. I'd signed a petition to get it into mainstream cinemas, and from the trailers that I'd seen, I thought, this is a really, really good film, and it's gonna address all the things that we want to say to white people about racism. So I was kind of disappointed, and I was a bit pissed that I signed the petition. And to be honest, I don't think the film's not in mainstream cinema because it's a black film. I think it's not in mainstream cinema because it's not a very good film. So there's lots of different reviews about the film. There's mixed reviews. But for me, I'm going to agree with the side that says that it's not very good because the characters there wasn't any depth to them. I think that Justin had tried to address too many issues. So there was like sexism, classism, racism, homophobia. There was all that kind of stuff in there that it just kept chopping and changing. So it felt very jagged. It didn't feel like the film flowed. It was very jagged. One scene would cut to another scene, back to another scene. It was all kind of all over the place. So maybe that's what he was trying to address with identity, that it kind of goes all over the place. But for the most part, yeah, the main character was like the militant black sister, and she wanted change, and she was very radical. But then when the pressure got tough for her, she just stopped wrapping up her hair, let it down, and just went off with a white guy. He tried to tell her that she was just a girl, like her colour didn't matter. There was lots of issues around that. Also, some of it was very stereotypical, quite cliche, a lot of old rhetoric. The white girl, she wants to have the black man's big black cock, and it was kind of like, really? There was a character in there who was a homosexual gay guy, but we didn't know until we saw the random kissing, and he looked a bit confused, and the audience was a bit confused. He felt like he was just thrown into the mix for, just to mix it all up. So the film didn't really address racism in the way in which I thought it was going to address it. I'm not quite sure why it was called Dear White People. I think that it lacked depth. It fell short because there was so much going on, and it got to the point where it got quite boring. We've seen this all before, based on true stories of frat parties that are insulting to black people. So there was a lot of blackfacing in it, and it really didn't bring it home. Unlike Spike Lee with his work, whether you love him or hate him, his work is very thought-provoking. It kind of hits the nail on the head. It's very clear in what's been said, whereas this was kind of like, huh, really, scratching. It just didn't make sense. And there was one character in there, I didn't like the shadism in the film either, and I don't believe for 1 minute that people like the character Coco actually exist. She was very anti-black. She wanted to remove herself from the black community. She wanted to be in the White House. She didn't want to be in the black house on this university campus. So she adopted the contact lenses, constantly talked about good hair. And I don't actually think that black people want to be white. I think we want to have the privilege of being white, so we adopt a white persona, because the privilege comes with the privilege comes acceptance, validation, acknowledgement, and that's what we want. Really, we just want equality. So Coco made a video, a blog, and in it she said, you know, you got white girls trying to be just as dark as me, which is not that dark. But she was, you know, she was a jet black dark girl. She wasn't light. And I don't actually believe that there are black women out there that want to be white. They might want the privilege of being white, but they don't want to be white themselves. They're happy with who they are. And I also think, my little conspiracy theory, that we have black people that are paid to do that. So I don't even think it's rhetoric really coming out of our communities. I think it's just stuff that's been put out there. So yeah, the film, I think it's quite dangerous because it just doesn't go anywhere. So when a white person watches it, they kind of think, oh, okay, maybe some might be equally as confused, and really think that that's what we're saying, when actually we say a lot more, with a lot more depth, with a lot more understanding, and with a lot more education. She makes a statement, the protagonist Sam, about what racism is in the film. But again, it's a satirical look at racism, so it's meant to be kind of like a comedy. It just failed on all points for me. You know, I said that it was rubbish. I would recommend, if you want to get an understanding and leave with something quite thought-provoking, that we watch films like Hidden Colours, the Code Black stuff, 500 Years Later, The Motherland. We kind of watch films like that. Independent films made with people that have an understanding of the actual struggle that we face, because I don't know, maybe this was all in Justin's head, so it kind of like really failed for me. And as a black homosexual man, I thought the character that was homosexual could have been portrayed a lot better, and he could have shown us what it is like to be a black gay man. I think he does try and address the intersectionality that we face, the multiple layers of oppression, but it just doesn't go, it kind of like just touches the surface, kind of skirts over it. If you blink, you miss it. So what was the point, really? So those are just my views. I give it a thumbs down, and I just really wouldn't recommend it.